These Pokemon may not look too scary, but they have the creepiest, chilling backstories that may be too dark to even exist. From taking people's lives to feeding on their souls, they show complete no mercy. This tree here seems like a regular spooky tree, right? Nope, it is possessed by spirits of lost children who passed away while wandering in the forest. Their voices can mimic a child's voice, and what's even worse is that it sounds like terrifying screams. The rotten trees, Phantom, and Trevenant use their fake voice to lure travelers further into their abode, and when they die after getting lost, their spirits get taken to produce new phantoms. And the Trevenants also place curses wherever they like. Disturbingly enough, if someone is a tree cutter, the Trevenant gets furious and eats them up or traps them in the branches. Do you know the famous saying of never judge a book by its cover? Well, don't judge this Drifloon for being a balloon. They grab the hands of small, lean children who are deceived to think it's just a floating balloon and steal them away to the afterlife. We don't know if Drifloon is a body shamer, but doesn't like heavy children. And helium isn't what keeps them floating, it's actually the souls of humans and Pokemon. An old folktale calls it the signpost for wandering spirits. Gengar is by far the most recognized in terms of Halloween and ghost Pokemon. But do you see any resemblance it has with other Pokemon? The answer is clefable, because you could clearly see it in their bodies, and they kind of have similar cat-like ears. A theory is that the Gengar could be the ghost of Clefable. The real scary thing about Gengar is that it acts as a shadow and attacks when you don't expect it, and there's no way to escape from it. Just imagine that smile coming up from behind and taking away lives. Mimikyu, in addition, is well known when it comes to spooky Pokemon. You could clearly see it in the facial expression and the way its neck goes so weird when its disguise gets broken. Apparently, Mimikyu has a huge resentment towards Pikachu, but wants to be appreciated like it because it's popular, so it tries to imitate it to get people to believe that it's Pikachu. From Generation 7, the game of Pokemon Sun and Moon, you may have recognized it from the frightening trial when you had to take pictures at an abandoned market. Never look under this Pokemon's cloth. When a trainer looked at it, they died the night after. Have you had a lot of favorite toys when you were a child? Because Banette is an abandoned doll that is cursed due to a kid disowning it and has been looking for that child ever since out of revenge. It sticks pins inside itself like a voodoo doll, and it usually focuses on dark alleyways to wander around. The zipper on its mouth is to keep evil energy from spilling out. And speaking of mouths, that yellow thing Yamask carries is their face when it used to be a human. Wait, humans can be Pokemon? This could be true because Yamask cries when it sees its own mask vision on what it used to look like. Just imagine the brutalness of just battling for the trainer's amusement, and the trainer doesn't even know that you're a human. And when it's evolved into a Runerigus, it's a painting that's brought to life and never should be touched, or else terrifying memories will be shown. When the bug-type Nincada evolves into a Ninjask, a Shedinja randomly pops up in the party. It doesn't move and implies that it's dead. It's similar to a cicada when it sheds, or like a snake. It even has a hole on its back from where Ninjask came out of. Try not to peek there because Shedinja takes spirits. And if a hand is put inside Sandygast's mouth, it will instantly drain the person and pull them in. There's even dried up bones buried underneath all that sand. Palossand is known as the beach nightmare that will take control of anyone and its surroundings. Also, if any children take the shovel on Sandygast's head, it will really dislike it and fight to get it back. Let's get chilly. Know the ice Pokemon Frostlass? When she finds people or Pokemon it likes, it freezes them, becoming decorations in Frostlass's chilly den. It's based on a spirit who haunted snowy mountains. Most are frozen before getting their souls taken. Meanwhile, for Glalie, this Pokemon likes eating its prey right after freezing them. Halloween is soon and pumpkins are in abundance. Come to think of it, there is a Pokemon pumpkin that is Gourgeist. Doesn't it look pretty friendly? Well, its backstory says otherwise. It chokes its foes while singing because it's so happy with the suffering that the victim is facing. It does this with the arms they have. That's not hair, it's arms. And they pretend to be children towards adults, knocking on doors in the night, and whoever believes it gets their life taken. On the other hand, large Gourgeists pretend to be adults towards children, and also do the same to them. Pokemon really like to pretend, and the whole Litwick line likes to absorb people's life force by imitating a light source. Plus, the younger the life this Litwick absorbs, the brighter the flame burns. Lampions hang around hospitals waiting for life to pass on. That is dark because most deaths usually happen in the hospital, and these Pokemon are just waiting there like spirits. This backstory is more sad in my opinion than scary, because if you know the Pokemon Cubone from Lavender Town, the skull that it wears is from its mother that passed on. And it cries very often, mourning the death by itself all alone. That Let's Go Eevee cutscene was sad. Cubone's face will always be hidden, which eventually evolves when it accepts the grief. Has your nose ever felt itchy when you're sleeping? That's a sign Drowzee is somewhere near your pillow. And if its nose twitches, it could sense someone's sleeping and what their dreams are about. Also, dreams that are forgotten are eaten from this Pokemon. It took the Dream Eater move seriously. Lullaby you may have recognized from Pokemon Black and White, and there is a sort of diaper-like thing the bird is wearing, but it's in fact bones of the prey Mandibuzz had eaten. Yikes, so they're wearing what they have destroyed. If a trainer is walking in the desert and suddenly they get very exhausted from the heat, Cacturne will emerge usually in the night and target them to their advantage. More groups will form to follow these trainers until eventually they pass out, and that's when Cacturne has got what it needs. A little tale from Pokemon X and Y is Honedge, the sword that emerges when a spirit enters it. There's a story from Pokemon Diamond and Pearl in Canalive Library that mentions something about a young person who striked Pokemon with a sword, but then later regretted it and asked for forgiveness. Which is why Honedge's handle shouldn't be touched, or else their life energy will be drained. Parasect is actually mostly dead, with the mushroom on the body being its main source of life. And if the mushroom were to come off, then the bug would just stop moving entirely. Its eyes are all white, which can make it look zombie-like. Spoink you could see every battle always bouncing non-stop, and there's a dark reason to this, which is correlated to a human's heart. This tail that the pig bounces on is its heart basically, and it has to keep bouncing to live. If it stops, the heart stops. There's a spooky spiked design of Bramblin, which is a tumbleweed Pokemon. It's a monster that has a pretty intimidating vibe, because it manages to be on the desert. It doesn't look that unsettling, but it actually has facial features on its face, and the way it catches its prey is it uses its thick branches, draining every bit of energy, and then they let it go. And mass outbreaks have been said to bury entire towns. Final one to end it off is already in the name with Gourgeist, who is a giant sea mosquito. Even if it looks friendly, don't be deceived by it. The Pokemon uses the long pointed snout to drain the victim's fluids like a straw, then the leftovers sink to the bottom of the seafloor. These leftovers actually become food for other Pokemon. Is this what Magikarp eats? Well, that was a lot of spooky Pokemon backstories to take in. Which was the scariest for you? Or do you even know of even creepier stories that we missed? Be sure to like and subscribe. Have a happy Halloween and stay safe.